Hi everyone, I'm Mark,
And I'm Alex.
and this is Final Stop for Final Fantasy Talks. Well, welcome everyone to our 17th episode. We're so glad you're here with us. As always, with our disclaimer, we're starting to get quite a bit into this Final Fantasy IX series, so if you want to go back to episode 6, that was actually the series starter. And just start there if you're wanting to start from the very beginning. If not, then welcome. We are still at Cleyra, right? But things are about
Yeah.
to make a turn.
Yeah, things are about to get pretty interesting in the story for sure. This is where now we've been saying this after Limblum, but it's really that point in the story where things really start to heat up, the plot thickens a little bit, and we're really getting into it now.
Yeah, absolutely. Where we left off was pretty much we made it into the settlement. We did everything there. We jumped down the sinkhole with Kina and got back up. So at this point, really the only thing left to do is just to kind of progress the story. So you want to go to the cathedral, one of the ladies sitting there or whatever it is, gives you a letter from Freya saying to wait at the end. So you don't quite make it that far though, because something, the ant lion, that is apparently usually docile, dude. Like it's like what you walk by every morning. Hey, antlion. It's
Yeah.
just like, hey, what's up? Don't worry
Yeah.
about me. I'm just a massive creature in a giant sinkhole.
Yeah, I don't really understand that. It's just chilling in there, like living symbiotically with the rest of the people there, and they're just like, "Oh, okay. Hey, what's up? It exists and everything, but we don't piss it off, and it's okay."
Yeah, I don't know, but regardless, it's attacking a child is all you get. But once you get there, you see a
Yeah.
familiar face. It's good old Puck, the little guy,
Prince
and
Puck.
you find out a little bit more that he's the prince because
Yeah.
Freya's like Prince Puck. Kind of a fun little flashback for Vivi there. But anyways,
Yeah.
fighting the ant lion, it is quite a hard boss up to this point, I would say. Even with all four members, it could be really tough. And I mean, I'm just gonna start it off right there. Obviously, the what you know most about this is Sandstorm, right? The ability that no matter what, it will bring you down to between 1 and 10 health, which is really not good.
And it inflicts darkness on everybody, I think, right?
I believe, yeah, I think it does as well.
Yeah. Yeah, this guy is a tough boss, and like what you said at this point, if you've got Kina, you went to Q's Marsh before Gizmaluke's Grotto and recruited Kina, this is going to be a lot easier for you, especially if you've been learning some of the blue magic skills like White Wind, Mighty Guard, etc. This is going to be a lot easier. But yeah, so Antlion, he's level 16. He's got 3,938 HP, and weirdly enough, 3,950 MP. So, yeah, you're probably not going to survive waiting for him to run out of MP.
Yeah, casting fire over and over. It's like, oh
Right.
well, he's got about another 150 uses. So
Yeah. Yeah.
no.
So, what kind of strategies do you use for this, man?
Well, we were talking about it the other day, and this is kind of the first time that I believe I've ever had Kino with so much blue magic at this point. I don't think I've ever had White Wind. I definitely didn't have Auto Life like we talked about last episode. And so White Wind definitely made it much easier. I was expecting Sandstorm, knew what to expect, and just instantly used White Wind right after that. I also
Yeah.
used Reese's Wind from Freya at the very beginning, because that same thing, I mean, sometimes he will use Sandstorm and follow it up with a very quick attack, or maybe counter
Yeah.
Horn if you have someone attack. And so that will kill the player because obviously, you don't have anything. And so
Right.
you kind of just have to be careful with your physical damage dealers, really.
Exactly. Yeah, you have to time everything up pretty well. And kind of like what you said, so that's generally what Antlion will do. It'll use Sandstorm, bring you down, and then the very next turn, he'll probably use Fire or Trouble Mucus or one of those abilities, and it's likely to kill a character. Other than that, just a very simple strategy here is to use Blizzara. He is weak to ice, so Blizzara is going to do a lot of damage,
Yeah.
especially if you take a couple of turns to focus with Vivi and increase his magic stat. It's going to do an incredible amount of damage. Another strategy you could do, you can cast slow on him, which is also a really good idea. I'm not sure what the chances are of it working, but that's something that you can do.
Yeah.
And as far as the steals, the common steal is 100%. It's just a anointment. Mithril Vest is a 25% steal, and Gold Helm, the rare steal, 6.25%, which I heard you got lucky again with, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's just the funny thing. Like, every time we talking about these steals and the items, and, we really weren't focused on the percentages too much at the beginning, just because, whatever. But I got Golden Helm again, first steal, and we
I
talked
don't
about
know
this. I
how.
don't know if it's just like a set, luck factor for a save or whatnot, because the only one I have missed at this point is the Mithril Sword, which, I mean, that one is just so abysmal. If you do
Yeah.
get it, that's crazy. But every other rare steal I've gone, it's just crazy.
And you should get some like lottery tickets or some scratch offs or something like that, man. I mean, that's you've been getting lucky with the steals.
Yeah, I don't know. What's
So,
going on? But regardless, once you take them out, you just head back up to the cathedral pretty much. It's like, oh, well, that's that. I guess Freya does ask Puck if he wants to see his dad, and he's like, nah, I'm good. It's like,
just
okay.
bounces.
He's like, nah, I'm good. I want to go explore. You go through, I guess, there's a little bit more dialogue, of course, but the next big thing is the good old dance, which, if you made it to this point, I'm sure you're much like us, and it's just like, oh, can we skip this, please? You can't. You gotta watch it.
Weird. Yeah, sort of like a river dance thing, and we were talking
Yeah.
about this last night too, that we get that it's sort of like old-timey, medieval
Yeah.
style. But it is kind of weird because I don't really think of them as I don't know, Irish or something. So they're
Yeah,
doing a
I
river
don't know.
dance. It's strange, but anyways, yes. Something that I know a lot of people miss, I missed for a long time until I looked up like a perfect game guide for this. So right after the dance, you have control of Freya, I believe.
Yep, it's Freya.
This is right after the strings snap on the harp, and they're like, "This is a really bad omen. Go check it out." You can speak to the high priest to get an emerald, which is a pretty nice and very rare accessory at this point.
Yeah.
Doesn't have fantastic abilities. I think it comes with Light Draw and MP plus 10%. So it can be nice for Freya, but regardless, it's a missable as soon as you leave the cathedral area. You cannot go back and you cannot get the item.
No. Yeah, and it's just crazy. It's just something you don't really think about. I didn't get it, so, because I knew about it this time. I was making it a point, but
Yeah,
I totally forgot to grab it, so. Oh, well.
it happens.
If you do get that and you walk out, it kind of flashes back to Steiner, Marcus, and Dagger. Steiner and Marcus are in like a giant bird cage looking thing, and obviously just Steiner's blaming it on Marcus. Marcus is just like whatever. But then it goes to Dagger, and that's the main thing. You kind of learn a lot of info here. Zorn and Thorn come to her room. They're kind of talking about, her birthday, and well, actually, I guess before Zorn and Thorn, she's having some self dialogue about her previous birthday, and that's when her mom changed, and that's where the weird man showed up and all this stuff, and
Yeah,
like,
the mystery man.
yeah, and but now it kind of brings it full circle because it's her birthday again. Now you kind of get a deeper look into it, like what's actually going on, because
Mm.
yeah, she goes and sees the queen. She's playing it all off, but then here comes the mystery man Kuja, and he just puts her to sleep.
Yeah, and a couple of really funny lines here. I love it when she goes, Zorn and Thorn are like, you know what? You're gonna come with us. You're gonna talk to the queen. This is not an option. We're gonna force you. So, get off me, you scumbag.
Yeah, it's like, what was it again? Get off me, you scumbag. They're
Get
like,
off me, you
what
scumbag. They
the
weren't even
heck?
touching her at that point.
Yeah, no, right.
Um, and they're just like, what? What did she
She
just say?
botched it. She botched it quite hard there.
Yeah. And then I'm curious, what option did you pick when you go to the queen and she, Dagger confronts her about why you attacking Bermesia, and you
Right.
have an option here of the queen claims that they were plotting to attack Alexandria for a long time and they've known about this. That's why they preemptively attack Bermesia.
Yep.
And so as Dagger, you have this option of believe her or don't believe her. What do you go with?
Well, I'm usually clicking too fast at that point, and so I usually just click believer. That's the top option. And I'm
Hard
like,
to
oh,
believe.
whoops. Oh.
Yeah, yeah, because it's a little bit sad. It makes Dagger seem even more naive
Yeah,
when you
it does.
select that. Anyways, regardless of what you select, it actually doesn't affect the storyline because the next thing that happens is the mystery man comes in and says a couple of fancy lines and puts her to sleep.
And then they start the extraction process, which we will get back to on that a little bit more. After that, it switches back. You are now in Cleyra again. You can go back to the inn, and now there's someone new. Stiltskin has joined the fray, and he's offering you the next little set of goodies. It's a high potion, an ether, and a phoenix pinion, all for just 444 gil, which is quite a steal.
Man. Stiltskin always coming through with the goods. Seriously, such a great deal. I mean, honestly, like an ether itself, I think those sell for, what, 750 gil or something? So it's an incredible deal. And again, we mentioned it before. Always, always, always buy Stiltskin deals. You'll get if you get every single one, you get a nice little bonus at the very end. So
yep, which we will eventually get to here.
Eventually, yeah.
It'll take a little bit, but we'll get there. So at this point, really the only thing left to do is just head down the tree. Like it's kind of like, you're checking out to see what's going on. And out of nowhere, you're at the 3 sandpit area that's no longer moving anymore. You get some of the Alexandrian soldiers, the Beatrix ones, and your first thought has to be like, if I'm dying a happy man, because you got these nice, sexy uniforms. It's like, what is it meant to do? Throw the enemy off guard?
Seriously, I guess it's kind of like what do they call it? Like a lure or something to confuse the enemies because it's not all that protective.
Dude,
anybody who's played the game,
their whole entire legs could just get sliced to bits. I mean,
right. And then they've got like helmets on. It's like, yeah, some good that's gonna do. The rest of your body's completely exposed.
Yeah.
But yeah, those Alexandrian soldiers, man, they're trying to impress Beatrix, I think.
Yeah, they'll never do it. All right, but before we move on to what happens with the assault on Cleyra, we're going to get to our bold move, so let's switch on to that.
All right, so yeah, for this week, been on a bit of a Final Fantasy X2 kick, so it was a very bold move for Waka to have a kid with Lulu.
Oh gosh, yeah.
This was weird, just a weird scenario, and then of course anybody who's played Final Fantasy X, that Lulu was sort of seeing or dating Waka's little brother, Chapu.
Yeah.
So yeah, props to Waka.
Keeping it in the family, man.
Bold move.
It's a strong family name for her, so that's what she went with. Alright, well, my bold move is within Final Fantasy XII. And you know what? It was actually a pretty heartfelt, bold move for Balthier and Fran to just open up an orphanage, taking in all these orphans. Because, I mean, they're sky pirates trying to steal treasure, and next thing you know, they got 2 little kids to watch over, it's...
It took me a minute. I was like, what? I get what you're saying now. That's good.
They're just like, orphanage, taking in any orphans. Hop on board, I guess.
It would have been seriously, because they got those two tag-alongs, and it's just like wherever Vaughn goes, Penelo's gonna go with him. So
yeah, well, and they're just basically a couple teenagers who are among the best fighters in the world, all from this orphanage. So, anyways, those are our bold moves for this episode. We're going to go ahead and get back onto Cleyra to see what's happening. So the first thing to do, well, I mean, I guess you have to progress anyways, right? You got to keep getting to these fights with the Alexandria soldiers to the point where you're about to cross over the bridge. Then the kind of whole story comes back together. The settlement itself is being attacked by the black mages, and so you head on back. Don't forget to stop off at the giant sandpit area right to the right, because the Mughals have moved there. And if you don't talk to Mopley, and you don't go to the Mognet, little option, you would have totally missed out on this letter, because, it's quite interesting how they did this, because you give the letter to Mopley. I guess you didn't have to, but you gave it to Mopley at the inn. And so if you just go on your way and you don't think about the Mognet, you wouldn't have known that Mopley was going to give you another one.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure when I played this game as a kid, I missed this all the time. Because there's no reason. Why would you go over to the sandpit? But yeah, I mean, like what you said, so Mopley's over there. And if you select Mognet, you get a new letter that goes to Sereno, the Moogle. Anyways, other than that, so you leave there, you start going up the stairs, in Cleyra and all this stuff, and the attacks going on. So you're fighting all of these black mages. They're different black mages at this
They
point. They're
are.
the type Bs.
They
Not
have
too
a little.
difficult, right?
No, not too difficult. They got, a little upgraded vest, you can tell. They're sharp dressed mages now. They're more or less still pretty cake. I
Yeah.
mean, they'll do some damage, but overall, you should be able to just be blasting through them.
Especially if you equip Maneater on
Yeah.
Zidane and Freya, you're gonna be absolutely one-shotting these guys pretty much.
Yeah, and so at this point, you kind of have like a little mini game, so to speak. It's not really a mini game, and if you're like me, you've probably failed at it miserably many times. But there is a way to obtain quite a few items if you get the order right. What? I mean, the first option you're given is what you're trying to save people from getting
Yeah,
attacked. And so you can either say, like, go left, right, up, down, or whatever. You just never want to really head up or down, right? So this first
that's
option
exactly it.
says, let's head right. So you head right, you go. If you didn't, what would have happened would have been whoever you told to say, hey, let's go up, would have ran up and then got killed. so
Yeah, it's kind of tragic actually. Yeah, because you just totally send them to their death. And what's interesting is, depending on whether it's up or down, if they go up, they get killed by black mages teleporting in, and if they go down, they get killed by Alexandrian soldiers coming up the tree trunk. So kind of funny, but yeah, in general, you don't really need to memorize what to tell them, other than the fact that just don't ever go up or down. You'll always have an option of either left or right, and if you do
yeah,
that, everybody's gonna be all right.
yeah. You'll have to do it 3 times, including that first one. So it's always going to be selecting going right at the beginning. And then I think it's left. And then I think you have a choice. It doesn't matter which way, just go right or left. And then everyone's like, I think, are we safe now? And that the most important one is you got to say, we're not safe yet. That's what you have to say. If you
Really,
do,
I didn't know that.
apparently, actually, I don't know. So maybe you don't. Maybe you just have to get it right. But you will get quite a few prizes. We'll let you know what that is in a moment. Because before we get that, no matter what happens, you go up top to the cathedral. He looks around and is like, wow, this is all who made it. I mean, it is pretty sad if you've really botched it like me before and literally everyone got killed and you're like, oh, whoopsie, like
Yeah.
kind of helped clear out the settlement for them. But regardless of what happens, you or whoever else you're with will get just totally circled by, the mages, by the Alexandrian soldiers. Now we get a face again that we promised we would talk about the next episode, and that was about 3 episodes ago. But
Yeah,
we were
it's
waiting for
taken
this
us a while.
point because someone shows up who we weren't expecting. Who is it, man?
If you've been playing this game, you might actually recognize him because I think you see him in a cutscene or an ATE
Yeah.
right back at Bermesia. This is actually Sir Fratley, and he was Freya's boyfriend,
Yeah, that's what
disappeared.
Zidane says, right? He's like, did you find your boyfriend? And that was back in Limbo.
Right, right. And he disappeared 2 or 3 years ago from Bermesia and
Yeah.
said he was going to travel the world and stuff like that. So, or 5 years ago, sorry. And Freya was looking for him. Yeah, I mean, there's some interesting things with Fratley. Interestingly enough, when I did a little bit of research on this, some of the key items, like the continental map, and later on you'll get the world map, have if you press select on it, like you get the little the help info.
Yeah, yeah.
And I didn't know this, but it's actually Fratley's words. So the continental map, which you have at this point, you can read this. It says, "The road remains wide open while your dreams are alive. Only fear can block the way." So I had no idea
Deep
that was
words,
actually
Fratley.
Fratley. Yeah. And then the world map, "Let fear propel you forward. Do not look back. Do not let failure stifle you."
And really reflect on those words, everyone. Take a Zen moment. Open up that fortune cookie. And this is what it wrote down. I mean, come
It's
on.
just interesting.
It's
I don't
very,
know.
yeah. Well, it's like,
Yeah.
maybe when they're translating the Japanese, they're like, guys, we got nothing here. We don't understand what this means. Go grab some fortune
Right.
cookies. We'll just pick the best ones out of that.
Yeah.
But
Exactly.
regardless, yeah, he kind of has a hand every once in a while. Now, obviously, with Freya, the biggest thing was, she went out looking for him. The little cutscene you get when you're at Bermesia was, he was leaving to become stronger because, my spear alone won't be able to save, and so he's been going
Right.
around training around the world. Freya was, searching for him. She goes pretty crazy into it. I mean, you can kind of tell how much she was attached. Eventually, after Fratley saves them and Cleyra, he just killed 3 enemies along the way. We killed about 15. So who's the bigger hero, in my opinion? But Freya is ecstatic and all that. But Fratley apparently has amnesia. Doesn't remember anyone. Puck says that he didn't even remember who he was, and just the threat of the kingdom kind of sparked a little bit. But here's poor Freya. She says that a man she has dreamt endlessly, only to discover that he cannot even remember who she is, and it's like heavy stuff.
Pretty tragic.
It is, and that kind of alludes back to back in Lindblom when we met Freya, and I said, obviously he was unknowingly making a sick joke, Zidane that is, for pretending not to remember her because she has been forgotten, so to speak.
So that's an interesting perspective that I never thought about. But why? This is one thing I'm not sure about. I'd like to maybe look into at some point. But I wonder why he got amnesia or why he couldn't remember. He went off, he traveled the world to, like what you said, to get stronger so that he could take on all of the foes of other kingdoms that are growing stronger. He mentions Beatrix, for example. But yeah, he comes back and he doesn't remember anybody. And he just says that his a faint memory of him being a dragon knight brought him back. So just kind of an interesting little story. But yeah, we finally see him. He is alive, and that's one comfort that Freya has at the end of the day is that he's still out there. He's still alive. So
yep, and off he goes. And so that's that. So at that point you have to exit. And before we get to what is in store for us some more, we're going to get to see trivia. So Alex, these days at least, he's on a roll right now, passing them right and left. Let's see if I got some hard enough ones for him today. All right, man. First question comes to you from Final Fantasy XII. The stink bomb's ammo applies confuse.
Ooh. Let's say false. I think it's poison.
Final Fantasy VII. When you get to the gold saucer, you can buy a lifetime pass for 30,000 gil.
That's true. You never have enough money for that.
Final Fantasy IX. Kina's Bistro Fork is the best one.
I think that's false.
Alright, Final Fantasy X-2. Here you are. If you know anything about Alex these days, he is hardcore determined to finish off Final Fantasy X-2. So I gotta get pretty... I don't know if this is creative, but I gotta dig into it a bit. So, Final Fantasy X-2, Pain's full throttle is missable.
Oh, I don't know. True? I think. Just go with true.
Alright. In Final Fantasy XIII, Alexander's Divine Judgment ability deals weakness-specific damage.
Oh, man. Literally never even used it.
What? You're always supposed to use them. They're the best things in that game.
Maybe it's just because I don't use hope. Weakness dependent. Yeah, I don't know. False.
All right. I had to get creative. Okay. Yeah. What did you never use? Alexander, because no one uses hope. All right. Final Fantasy VIII. The hot dogs are in stock.
Oh, false. Never in stock.
Final Fantasy X. Here you go, man. The expert sphere grid has more nodes than the standard.
False.
Alright, let's recap all this. So in Final Fantasy XII, stink bombs. It is false. The ammo does not apply confuse. You were thinking poison. It doesn't do poison either. It's sap.
Sap.
So...
it's like even worse version of poison.
Yeah, well, in it, they're sneaky bombs, dude. Of course they're going to be sapping your health. Alright, Final Fantasy VII, you're right, the lifetime pass is 30,000. You see that and you're like, oh, man.
Yeah, I just know that because it sticks in your mind because it's like 30,000, really?
Yeah, it's like, dude, I got nothing. Alright, Final Fantasy IX, Kina's Bistro Fork. You said false. It is false. It's not the best one. It's the Gastro. Yeah, Gastro Fork. Which she doesn't have very many weapons. I was thinking about that. I got the Mithril Fork in mine, and those are the only two better ones. Or no, silver. There's silver.
Silver, it's needle, just fork, needle fork, silver fork, mithril fork, Bistro and Gastro.
Yeah, 6 weapons. That's not much.
Yeah.
All right, Final Fantasy X-2, you said true to Pain's full throttle being missable. And it is true. It is missable. You have to do it in either, I think, chapters 1 or 2, the whole process of getting it, which I'm blanking on right now.
Trommel.
Yep, there you go, Trommel. Yep, if you don't, you can miss out on it. Alexander's Divine Judgment deals weakness-specific damage. You said false. It is true. It's like his best. I was looking at it, man. I went into the strategy guide. Gotcha. Once I dig into that thing, no, it's like his best ability or something, and it does area damage, all weakness-specific damage. That's pretty cool, though. I was thinking about that. Like,
it is.
It doesn't matter what their weakness is; it will apply that to them.
Yeah, because you would think it would be like all the other ones and just be holy.
Yeah, something like that, but nope, pretty interesting. Final Fantasy VIII, the hot dogs are not in stock. You got that right.
Love that.
Whatever. Final Fantasy X, you said true, and it is true. So the expert sphere grid, it has something like, and don't quote me on this, but it's like something like 805 nodes, and I think the regular one has 860. Why all of you listening right now have not counted and know for yourself is beyond me. I always count to make sure that there's
That would
800.
be painful.
Dude,
Man.
goodness, people who did do this, or maybe they just found out originally, but regardless, man, you only missed one, so you passed again. Rank 13
Nice.
obtained.
Oh, man.
You're up to a big old fat paycheck, man. You can retire pretty soon here.
Getting up there.
So, all right. So while Alex revels in his nice success, let's get back to finishing off Cleyra. So, you have to head outside, but before heading outside, please talk to all of those people you just saved. If you don't, you will not get the reward from them. They each give you something different. It's a couple cards. It's Nymph and Zoo card, and Elixir, Ether, Phoenix Pinion, and Phoenix Down. So you have to talk to each individual person, but that's how you get those rewards. If
they died, then you don't get the rewards.
Yeah, if they died, they're not there.
But yeah, at this point you got to head outside because you've just seen Beatrix. She stole the crystal from the harp, or is it a crystal? What do they call it in this game or something? It's
either that or a gem, I think, or
gem
jewel.
or something.
I don't know,
that,
something
right?
like that.
Yeah, so she stole it. She runs outside, and y'all know what's happening. What's gonna happen next?
Yeah, we're gonna kick her butt, man. That's what's gonna happen. It's been literally about like an hour and a half since we last fought her, and it's like, okay, we got so much stronger. We got White Wind, by the way, so it's another timed battle, so it's just like the first time you fight her. It's timed. You can't actually kill her. It's either the amount of turns, or if you somehow do that much damage to her, it's something like 4,000, I think, in the, within that, then it'll just end either way. But I will say, man, she is much more difficult this time.
Seriously, she really, her attack power goes way up. Before we get into that, though, I just gotta say she has a really cool quote right before you get into a battle, because of course, Zidane and Vivi and Freya and Kina, if you have Kina, they're all sitting there and they're saying their little quotes like, we're gonna take you down, and all this stuff, and she's just like, allow me to shatter your delusions of grandeur or something.
Yeah, she says that. She's busting one-liners in on them.
Yeah, she's got her quotes and everything.
Well, last time, she called them insects, so she's definitely has a good competitive banter.
Right. So, like what you said, but it's very similar to the first one. Her attacks are all basically the same. She attacks very quickly. She has a regular attack that does somewhere around 200 damage.
Yeah.
Shock is pretty much a one-shot at this point, unless you're very over-leveled. It's about 800, 900 damage.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Individual character. And she can also still use Thunder Slash, and that can be a one-shot as well. So a couple of things that you can do here, some strategies. I don't know if I've ever done this, but there are some equipment items and accessories that you can equip to reduce lightning damage for one. Things like Rubber Helm, Coral Ring, Silk Shirt.
Yeah.
And another thing I never thought about was moving everybody to the back row. It should have the physical damage that she can do.
I mean, if you got two ways of playing this. Either you're just going to play it normally and try to just deplete her health before the 10 turns, or you may as well just go all defensive and just wait it out. I mean, it's what it is. Although, I guess if you're to this point, you don't know this if you've never done this before. And so, stay alive. There you go.
Pretty
That's all
much.
you're
Stay
trying to do.
alive.
Stay alive.
Another thing that's interesting is slow is effective, and notice a trend with this. Slow is one of those things. I know this throughout Final Fantasy. It's just such an effective spell. It almost works on
Yeah.
everything, and especially bosses. So yeah, slow's a good thing to do. And as far as steals, just to go through that, common steals, just a Phoenix down. You have a 100% chance of getting that right off the bat. Thunder Gloves, 25%, and
Yeah.
Ice Brand, 6.25%. Tell me you didn't get the rare steal again.
Dude, first try. I didn't even bother stealing 2 times. Didn't even bother. I was like, I don't need Phoenix Down. I don't need Thunder Gloves. Just give me the Ice Brand.
And
Stole Ice Brand. I was like, well, all right.
the amount of times I've sat there trying to get Ice Brand, couldn't steal anything, couldn't steal anything,
Dude,
couldn't steal anything, and then you just get it on like
I
what the third
I
steal.
know. Well, and that's what I'm wondering if it has to be like a save. Maybe you just get an allotted random amount of luck because I've had those saves. My last one, that's about now 4 months ago, was the same thing, and I had to keep stealing over and over and over to get anything. But this time,
Yeah.
it's like the first or second. Oftentimes, I will steal the amount of times there are items and get an item every single time. So just boom, 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 and it's just like,
Yeah.
dude, I ain't gonna. I'll take it, please, every whole day long. you know.
And that's crazy though, because seriously, I mean, 6.25%, basically, you're gonna get it 6 times per 100 steals, which is just
Yeah.
abysmally low.
It's not a high percentage, that's for sure. But
No. But regardless, it's not admissible, so
yep, just getting it early type of deal is really what it is. And no, I mean, kind of like we alluded, it's just a stay alive thing. She'll take someone out with shock most likely. She'll take someone else out with Thunder Slash. So I would just be playing the Phoenix down. You can also just toss out Auto Life nonstop with Kina, and that would cut down on those as well.
Yep, so basically after that royal butt kicking, it's time to evacuate because something really bad is about to happen. So everybody, you see some of the black mages, the Alexandrian black mages get into their little escape bubble
Yeah,
pod
yeah.
thingies, whatever the heck they are. And everybody, they're just like, oh, okay, well, let's follow. Except Kina.
Kina, I
Kina's
know like heights and just runs away. It's like, okay, well, see ya.
Yeah, she runs down, and this is just funny though because first of all, she's got to run all the way down the
All the
trunk
way down.
solo. So all those random encounters, yeah, good luck,
She's
Tina.
just eating it all. Well, no, she's still got like some of the other people. Maybe some of the priests are helping. And why is that important? The amount of time it would take to run down? Well, it's because the queen's doing something very naughty. She is summoning Odin. So she's summoning Odin, and that movie is just awesome. I mean, he comes down from the sky, throws a spear down into the tree, and it just basically just gets pulverized into nothing.
Bullseye on the cathedral. The cathedral shatters. The entire tree just basically blows up essentially.
Yeah.
And this is all because kind of that earlier scene. We didn't go into a lot of detail with this, but there was the extraction process on Dagger,
Yeah.
and now Queen Braun has all of her Eidolons. So
Yeah, able to summon. And so she gets to work. They just wanted the jewel, obviously, is what we're gathering out
that's
of
what it
that
is, the
harp.
jewel.
And
Yeah.
so now that that's gone, it exploded. And so, man, she must have been just. Maybe she just rolled on down. Maybe that's what she did. Just humbled and bumbled and rolled down. I don't know how
Somehow
they got out so quickly, but and so now you're on the Red Rose, which is the airship, right? The royal airship. You don't have much. There's just some dialogue. You learn some things. I think it's pretty hilarious banter between one of the Alexandria soldiers and Beatrix. I just love like the soldiers just like lavishing praise on Beatrix, right? Oh, blah blah. And then it's just so funny how they start just mocking Knights of Pluto.
Yeah.
Like you're so much better than Steiner and the Knights of Pluto. It's like
Kind
as
of
if
like
that's the running joke or something.
pretty much because they're just like, oh, at this point, this conquest, you're way better than Steiner and his Knights of Pluto, and I love how nobody questions either. Where are they? And why
Yeah,
are they not
seriously.
here? It's just like they didn't even get included. Nobody sent them the memo.
No, no one cares about the poor Knights of Pluto.
They're just
But
like, they just use slash for like 40 damage. We don't need them.
yeah, I mean, seriously, yeah. It's something mentioned too here. The song "Roses of May" is the song that plays on this ship, and I absolutely love it. I mean, it's an amazing song, and it's kind of, although it's not called like Beatrice's theme, it's kind of like her theme. I mean, it's anytime like it's kind of her monologue or about her per se, it's always this. And after, after she talks to the guard stuff, you can kind of see that her thoughts are starting to maybe turn kind of like Steiner's about questioning things, and that's furthered even more by a conversation he's about to have with the Queen, who mentions something. What does she put out into the open there?
Oh, so Dagger's gonna get executed for stealing the royal jewel or something, the Falcon Claw. After, if you think way back to the very beginning of this game,
Yeah.
when Dagger was quote unquote kidnapped and left, she had the royal pendants with her as well, which is another reason why they're trying to get her back. They want these jewels for some reason.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, as it turns out, Queen Braun never really did get to see her good side, but she is just like completely evil
Yeah,
at this
she's
point.
savage, man.
Yeah.
Which the princess will be beheaded. And so that conversation definitely sparks Beatrice even more to kind of like, at first she's like, man, no gratitude, and then the queen just tells her to do stuff and tells her about beheading the princess. And so now Beatrice is really starting to wonder what the heck's going on. Clearly, Zidane and Freya and Vivi are right there on the balcony. They hear everything, so they're like, oh my gosh, we got to get there. Vivi has an idea, so you run down to kind of like the teleport tubes, whatever the heck they are, where they blow the bubbles and that apparently travel faster.
Like that.
I mean, it's so weird, but anyways, they go down there. You get a glimpse of a little Moogle. Please chase it backwards. This one, it does not go down, right? So you do have to run back to the balcony, and lo and behold, it is Sereno, I guess, the Moogle, and you got that letter you just got from Mopley, so turn that in. And then she has one for a familiar. I can't remember where the heck this one is. I just remember it. It's Moodon.
I think that's in Lindblom.
Is it in Lindblom? Okay.
Or somewhere like that. But anyways, yeah, like what you said, I know I missed this all the time back in the day without a guide because, like what you said, it's up at the walkway, I guess, above, on the second level above the urns, the little teleport urns that they're standing next to. But yeah, Sereno kind of comes out, does a little Moogle Kupo noise or whatever, and that's kind of another indication that she's up there. So, but easy to miss.
Easy to miss, yeah, because I mean, you're already down there. You could have just went ahead and went forward in the story without going back up. But go back up, deliver the letter, get a new one, and that's where we're leaving it. Because, some heavy-hitting topics that we will just save for next episode. So, as always, we thank you so much for hanging out with us and listening. And if you've been supporting us this whole time, extra thanks to you all. We've been enjoying it, loving it, and it's just it's a great way to spend some time. So we appreciate it. Yeah, just be looking out on social media. Instagram is where we're at. We also have our website, finalstopforfinalfantasytalks.com. Do a little blog post. If you're ever curious about the music we use and things, it's there as well. And of course, as is the seed trivia question. So if you have any ideas for some other things, hit us up, let us know. But if not, that'll do it for us. So I'm Mark.
I'm Alex.
And this is Final Stop for Final Fantasy Talks.